イチカタカタカタカタやってんな。
待って待って待って待って待って待って、パンチボカン。恥ずかしいね
おお、これは可愛らしくも意外な変よ。私はこの国の王女にして騎士がやる気はなしか。だが私は楽しませてもらうぞ。
So, number 10. Executioner, Her Way of Life, or The Virgin Road. Kind of coming in with a little Dark Horse anime, right? So hello everyone, Modern here. We talk about the top 10 anime this year, of course. Hope you guys like the video, subscribe and so on, share the video, right? It's a lot on the edit video. But anyway, this is my number 10 then, because this is an anime that I feel no one else talked about so on, right? But it's like a really cool Yuri action anime. And I'm not even spoiled here immediately, right? Because I have to motivate what's as a good anime. This is actually a time traveling anime where the main character is also kind of like the bad girl, forcing her girlfriend or trying to make this woman become her girlfriend in like a time loop shit. So this anime actually kind of starts off as, oh, you're following this girl, she kills people, you kill the main character, but it becomes way more interesting. Yeah, it basically becomes way more interesting the more you watch it. And of course it has a really, really cool, you know, warrior waifu, Princess Asuna, which I think is the best female character of that season, right? With that and so on, but basically, yeah, the anime has, you know, start off with weird powers, but then it becomes really interesting. Like the last 2-3 episodes are, this is one of the animes where, I'll say some later here, but this is an anime where the anime starts off pretty good, and it gets better and better, right, you know? I think a lot of animes are the opposite, right? They are strong in the beginning, then they became weaker, you know, across the season, right? This is an anime that every episode actually is better and better. So I see people who haven't seen it, right? But people probably dropped off in the beginning because she kills the fake main character in episode 1, right? But give this anime a chance. I won't get too much spoilers, but it's a really good, actually interesting time-traveling / Yuri action anime. So give it a chance, guys. Number 9! Sakana! So of course, Shisato, I would say she is arguably the best, she is like the best girl of the year, right? There are better waifus or whatever. It's the most ginky little girl ever. She's so cute, man. She's so happy. So Lycoris Recoil, right? Number 9 here. A Yuri. I was actually arguing myself a lot about Gundam or this anime. I think Gundam, honestly, Mercury Witch, is probably a better Yuri anime because Suletta and Miorina is probably the best Yuri couple out this year. So this year, I mean, so that's a really good anime too. This anime is this anime has better action. But anyway, Lycoris Recoil then, the Yuri anime of the year. It's about gunslinging girls, right? Girls trained by the government to fight, you know, evil people, right? With their amazing gun abilities. And it's just a really sweet anime. I also loved it at the father scene. I thought I'd spoil too much, right? But you know, but it's a very, very like sweet, cool, ging.
友達になりましょう。
BOCCHI! So, this is some people's favorite anime, right? Since anime is winning number 1, this is so on. And I think it's very unfair. So I'm gonna ask you, this anime is only number 8, guys. But seriously, right? BOCCHI, I think it's a really good anime. It's really, really fun. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, comedy animes, and I love comedy animes. Probably the most. I like sense of life and comedy, right? And of course, the general shonen stuff, right? Coming to that later, obviously. But BOCCHI is a really good anime. It obviously reminds you of like Komi-san, Hitori BOCCHI, another anime with even the same character name, right? BOCCHI being Hitori BOCCHI is being alone in Japanese, right? So you got that anime, you got Sendru Girl, etc. So you got a lot of these like, you know, social anxiety animes, right? Over the years, I started about social anxiety in my latest Chainsaw Man video, right? The social phobia devil, right? Very powerful. So it makes sense, right? Very relatable character. But, so again, I really love this anime, and it's basically about a girl that has no friends, right? Just trying to get friends by being a rocker, right? You know, rock girl, yeah. And I also love the meme, of course, everyone drawing her super muscular BOCCHI, right? I love that, yeah. There's a meme with BOCCHI having she's a rock, you know, she's the rock, right? Ripped as a rock, yeah, it is hilarious. But I would say this thing here, it might be kind of weird. I still in my top 10, right? But I think this anime is carried severely, right? By its animation, right? Is it fun in the Komi-san? Absolutely. Komi-san isn't even in my top 10, right? Komi-san I think is a fun anime, but it's not that good in my opinion. I think it's much better than Komi-san, for example. But I think that this kind of jokes, right, has been done now in like 5, 6, 8, 10 animes. Again, social side animes. However, this is the best animated one, right? This is the anime that has the jokes of social society with, I would say, easily the best production direction and so on, right? So again, it's a really good anime, But you know, I'm a little bit like, well, how is this winning? Because I don't think it's that good. I just think it's better than all the other in the same kind of comedy. You know what I mean? I think.
ダメ
ひれぎ様、今のうちに。
ご機嫌いかが走れそれそれ
Number 6. Man, I was crying just editing this in again. Healing Sama! Oh, the ultimate quilf, man. The ultimate quilf. Okay, so, first of all, as I had trouble putting Ousama Ranking in this ranking, because I already had it last year, right? And this anime is going, it's like an anime that goes a half season last year, half the season, right? But still, though, the scenes with healing, right? When she saves Lady Anne and she heals the snake and her and Body hugging and crying and so on, these are all the best scenes in this anime. They are amazing, and I will do a top 10 best scenes 2022, right? That'd be fun to do as well, because then you can take animes necessarily aren't even good, arguably, but they have really good, like, amazing scenes. Like, that scene was really good, you know what I mean? Probably it would be kind of the same list, but it would be different, right? And I would argue that the best scene 2022 arguably is the scene when healing refuses to run away, right? So this anime is fantastic. It's about, I talked about last year, I had a short review here, about this boy that is deaf, and he's, you know, he's tiny, he's weak, he can't hear, and he's the prince, but he can't become the king because no one likes him, whatever. Actually everyone likes him. Everyone actually loves him in secret, but you know what I mean. And he goes out on an adventure, right, to become stronger, and he has this amazing stepmom, right? I talked about it last year when, but again, the healing is so good because she's often this Disney villain, right? She's just like this, oh, I'm the evil stepmom, right? But she actually is like the greatest, she's like the best mom in anime. Like, if I did like a top 10 anime mom, which I did earlier this year, healing would be number 1, right? Healing is the greatest mom ever, right? She's like the best mom in anime history. And that, of course, makes this anime really good, right? But I put it a little lower for 2 reasons. It is, again, half sequel, half following, right? And the ending, I think, is pretty poor, actually, this anime. And otherwise, I have it much higher. And I talked about one of my best friends about this, and he was like, it's a Disney ending. He kept calling it Disney ending, and that's like in my head. I was like, yeah, I agree with that, because, like I said, this anime, the best moments is the beginning of season 2 then, or a continuous season, right, which basically is January in season 2. That's the best part, the healing scene, so on. The weakest part is the ending. The last 2-3 episodes are really weak, I would say, especially the last episode. It's pretty ending is, it's a Disney ending, like I said, right. But, my god, Made in the Abyss, Scorching, and I was thinking, again, this on the list here, I was almost putting out the list because it is a season 2, right? We'll talk about it more later in the video. Horror anime of the year, right? Terribly, in one way I hate this anime, right? It's like painful, it's this anime where you see all people getting killed, right? Cannibalism, eating shit. This anime is crazy, okay? This anime, I mean, like, the dead people. It is one of the worst horror animes ever, right? I say worst is in a good way, right? I don't want to spoil if you've seen it, but if you see the anime, you know what I'm talking about. They're eating, like, people, kids, and it's, like, this is, like, easily the horror anime, right? 10 out of 10 horror. And it's, the episode 1 starts with the girl getting, you know, assaulted, and it is like, the anime is just pain, it's a masochistic anime. This is one of the animes where you're like, why do I keep watching it for? You know, you're sitting there every episode being like, I hate this anime, I hate it. Number 5, Isekai Ojisan, my spirit animal. So good, you know I love this anime, and hate it, I love it, people are hate it. But of course, Isekai Ojisan, right, it's an irreverse Isekai, you know, about a crazy Dio coming back to Earth after being Isekai. And it is hilarious, it is so funny. I would say, I think it's the best comedy this year, right? It is super, super funny. One thing I will say though, I do agree with this thing. It's not an anime perhaps you don't like if you aren't a nerd, you know? You have to be nerd level high. But seriously, because as I keep saying in my reaction off the actual anime, you know, I grew up, right, playing Genesis, Sega Saturn, and Dreamcast, also Nintendo as well, right? But I grew up with those games, and played the Sonic games, etc., right, you know, Phantasy Star and so on. So for me, right, I can really feel like what he's. I'm like, that's me. Yeah, he's incredibly relatable to me, right? There's so many scenes where I feel like that is exactly me, man. If I could turn into a, you know, a tooth streamer with big op eyes, I would do it too. I'd be like, yeah, that's right, I am an elf streamer. I would do it too. I should know virtual YouTubing, yeah. I would do it too, man. With a big op eyes elfish lady, yeah. But it's a really, really fun anime, right? It's a very dark anime too, which I really enjoy. It's very dark comedy. It's a lot of, you know, sex jokes, right? A lot of that stuff. A lot of hentai jokes, right? Yeah, and so on. Which I absolutely enjoy, right? It's very, very gruesome in that sense, right? They do some... One episode, I think one of the best scenes, right, is when one of the, you know, friends they have, right? Savea, she comes into their house, thinks they're gonna force her into an AV production, right? Yeah, basically, you know, porn. Yeah, she thinks she's being stuck into this. Yeah, she's like, oh no, they're gonna touch me. And Isan is like, hello, lady. You know, she's like, ah, like that's kind of jokes, right? So the anime is very, very dark. It is hilarious. Mostly in the human side, right? And then we have the elf side, and you know, in the Isekai world, elf Sundere is adorable. I think one of the best female characters this year. Super, super fun, right? I love Sunderes, right? She's adorable, kawaii. And yeah, I think it's not gonna be the best comedy. So it's a really fun anime. But I do see that it has a weakness of you kind of have to have a high nerd level power. Right?
いえ、すぐに置いとま。
ちょっと目つむって。
Let's boobies! So now then, of course, number 4, Summertime Random. Okay, so this is an anime which is amazing. It's one of the best anime this year, easily. I think people everyone has seen it. Probably agree with this top 10. However, very people have seen it, right? So let's talk a little bit straight. Summertime Random is a time-traveling anime. It's like an island, right? The typical, similar to Re:Zero or whatever, right? Like the best, I would say Re:Zero is probably the most people will compare it to, right? So the main character dies. This evil shadow people kill him. He will go back in time, right? And they can try to, you know, change the time path, right? And every time he dies, he gets slightly forward to, right? So his continuation is slightly changing to, like it's like day 1, and then second death is like day 2, whatever, or later on a day, or whatever. Right? So he has shorter time to change stuff, right? That's basically the premise. And without going spoiling too much, right? It's an amazing anime with really fun characters, especially Ushun and Bisque, and also, of course, Sledgehammer boobies, right? Sensei, this big ass woman, big op eyes, big hammer, and she kills everyone, and it's amazing. She's the coolest freaking, you know, coolest badass, like, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire, this kind of, you know, Slayer, yeah. It's like a badass waifu running around with a sledgehammer, smacking zombies and dark other people. One thing I will say, though, trying to spoil too much here, is that the anime is really good too because it combines that, again, time traveling, right, the Groundhog Day, the looping thing, with that these shadow people can become anyone, right? They can be an imposter and they can become any other character. So that's also why I think the whole intrigue, right? I'm not have to spoil here, but you get the point. The general premise is very good because you're in time traveling, right? Someone can kill you, anyone can be your enemy, right? Which means that the main character will die a lot, and then okay, this person is controlled by, this person is a fake, this person might be fake, and then you can try to figure out when will this person be replaced, right? Oh, it's day 3, okay, if I can save her life before she's replaced, and so on, and then it's like, oh, who are evil, and so on. So I think that the premise alone is very, very strong. So I think easily one of the best animes. And I would say the only weak part of it, I would say, is the ending. I think the ending is good, don't get me wrong. I think the ending actually is really good. But I mean, it's like not the final episode, but episode basically before that, you know, the penultimate episode, right? That I think is slightly weak, because it reminds me of Mira and Nika, right? Future Diaries. We kind of like, okay, we have done all the thriller stuff. Now we throw Kamehameha, basically, right? The last, like, 2-3 episodes, they have kind of solved all the mystery, right? So now it's just like a fighting anime. Then it becomes shonen, and then it has a good ending. Again, I like the epilogue, so I love how it actually ends. I just mean the episode before, you know, the fighting episode. I think it's fine. It's not bad. Actually, the anime is well animated. Actually, one of the best animated anime. Don't get me wrong. Very good anime from a pure quality step as well. So the fights are good, but of course the mystery part who is the bad guy, who is the traitor, and so on. That's the best part of it. So I will say it's like a 9 point something anime for me, because it has a little weaker the last few episodes, right? It's much stronger in the beginning, where everything is just a mystery. Who was behind me, right? It's an anime that is strongest in the beginning, right? That's why it's not number one, I guess.
無理すぎにやけちゃうに決まってんじゃん。だって今相当嬉しさ半端ないし、永遠に続いてほしすぎる。
Best girl, obviously, Marin-chan. I have to say this thing. I really struggle, guys. This is one thing I'm gonna put up. The video about more stuff tomorrow's one. But I really struggled, right, by not putting this anime, of course, My Dress Up Darling, as number one. Number one is really good too. Number two is also really good, right? But I struggled a lot, man, not loving this, you know. Oh man, like honestly, if this anime aired last season, right? This anime, of course, Marin-chan, My Dress Up Darling, it did air winter, right, last year, 2022. Which means it basically aired a year ago, or like 9 months at best, right? But it's like 10 months ago, 10, 11 months, right? So if this aired the last season, like if it had Marin-chan last week, it's probably been number one. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, right? Because this anime is so good. Marin is like the ultimate girlfriend, right? It's one of my absolute favorite rom-coms. I love this genre, right? I love Gyros. You know, I love Gyros, right? I love Gyros. I have 2 markets. I have another video coming up this week with my stuff I bought about a lot of anime stuff, you know, last year. I'm gonna make a video about it. So we have this Marin poster, right? I showed you guys. We have the Marin poster. I got a Marin figure, so I got a lot of Marin stuff. It's no surprise, right? And she's the ultimate girlfriend, right? But I'm very struggling. But honestly, yeah, if this anime aired recently, I would be even more, you know, into like, oh, Marin-chan. Now it's been a few, it's almost been a year since it aired, so I guess it's like a weaker. But I'd be so surprised if Marin doesn't win, you know, like the best girl and so on. But anyway, what's about that? What is about? I assume everyone knows that Marin-chan is the best thing ever. Or every gay cosplayer, mostly. She wants to be a cosplayer. And she meets this guy, right, Goju-kun, and he's really good at tailoring and crafting. So he makes her, you know, sexy, cute outfits, and then they go to different events and so on, right? So it mostly is like a very, of course, ecchi plot anime, right? You see up-bite boobs, ass all the time, right? It's also a sweet anime. Like, Marin is really well written. They actually have this really good romance, how they're developing, how they like each other, how they talk and so on. So they also have really good dialogue. And actually, I would say this is one of those mangas I actually read before the anime, yeah. Like Marin-chan, I read the manga before I, you know, watched the anime, because I read like every Gyro anime. I have read every manga with like, they have abs, right? You know, when the girls have really big muscular abs and Gyro, especially if they have both, if they both have Gyro and abs, then I read all of that, man. So, it's an anime that I was waiting for. And I remember that too, it was the one side note, but I remember still it was, that I was doing one of my reactions in the beginning of last year then. I got to comment like, oh, you're just bandwagoning, like, just doing reaction to this, like, rom-com because it's popular. I was like, what the F? There was a dumb. I was like, man, I have done reaction reviews to, like, every Gyro anime, okay? Yeah, Hashimete no Gal and so on. Yeah, I've done every goddamn Gyro anime there is, okay?
二人で死を乗り越えた証。じゃあ私も。はい、ベッキーの分も買ってきた。好き。
Waku Waku, everyone! Waku Waku. I love Marin-chan, but I have to admit, Spy X Family I probably love more, you know. It's like the best wholesome anime ever, right? It's the best daughter character ever. You know, I love Dragon Maid with Kanna, right? Being like, daughter or so on, right? She's like, but it's fun too because Kanna keeps calling her dad, right? She's like, why am I not your mom? Toru is my mom, you're my dad! Like, I'm also a woman, you're my dad! Like, okay, fine, I'm your dad. As long as you call me your parent, it's fine, yeah. So, you know, I love animes. Hinamatsuri called an anime I really love. Honestly, right, if one anime I recommend people to watch is Hinamatsuri. Yeah. Hinamatsuri is a very underrated anime, very simple anime, right? You know, instead of being a spy, the father is a yakuza, right? So it's very similar. It's very similar, right? They're doing like, you know, crime or whatever instead. They have super. Yeah, I mean, actually, because they have telekinetic powers, right? So actually, it's very similar in a lot of aspects, right? Hinamatsuri to Spy X Family. I think it's the closest anime to is Hinamatsuri. But anyway, this anime, I mean, you probably know what anime is, yeah. Probably see it, it's the cutest, again, the best little family anime, and it's so well done, right? The opening is like the best opening I think this year, right? The animation is fantastic, opening and endings are beautiful, every scene looks just amazing. It's just like I'm crying. I feel every third episode or something because it's so wholesome. And it's a wholesome anime, right? About a little orphan girl being adopted by a spy and an assassin, right? And it's just the cutest, best anime ever. It's hard to put words into it, but it's just wholesome, right? Yeah, it's just the greatest wholesomeness you can imagine. And then the comedy is really, really fun too, right? I love all the jokes. Every episode cracks me up laughing insanely much, right? The only thing, and the reason why I don't put it number one, right, is just because I agree with some people, generally speaking. I still love the latest episode. They're so funny, they're so wholesome. Like Anya and Becky going on like a play date. I love, I'm like, oh, it's so cute. So I really love every episode. But I do agree that the main plot, like after they get bonded, right, they get the dog here. After they save him, the main plot just kind of disappeared. Yeah, and this is slice of life anime, and I love this genre. Do it yourself, so much right there. I love this genre. It's one of my favorite genres I mentioned earlier. But I still feel like it was slightly better in the beginning, where it also had somewhat of a main plot, right? That doesn't have to progress every episode. You don't have to progress every episode. But you can progress it every now and then. But it certainly felt like the second Cour had too little like main plot episodes, even though they have his father and so on, right? Damon's father Desmond also. It is there. I mean, they have some, and Fiona introduced. She's also in love with Lloyd and so on. But it's also in the main plot, right? Like rivalry and so on, and transforming the storyline. But it's that's the only weak spot, right? So, but I will give it. I still think it's a 10. I still think it's a 10 anime. Yeah, I still think it's a 10 out of 10. But it's like 11. It would be like 11 out of 10, right? If it had maybe just 2-3 more main story, but that's the only weakness of it. But otherwise, I think it's the best wholesome anime ever. Like this is the greatest family anime I've ever seen in my life. Right? It's just easily a 10 anime.
憧れたあんたとはな。
戦いの最中に敵への憧れを口にするか。
息を。お前が今まで使ってきたのは私が。
Of course, Bleach, baby! Honorary number one. So, get the in the conversation, get the salt in conversation. So, let me explain this thing, right? Bleach, coming back, right? Being, I would say, easily the strongest sequel, right? But, big but, right? I love Bleach. I love the scenes. Unohana, Mama Unohana coming in there with Kapachi, best thing. Yamamoto the fire and so on, also good, but not as good as Unohana, I would say. Best characters. Etc. But Bleach has like 345 episodes before this season, right? So mostly, as I mentioned earlier, right, I felt a little, including like Made in Abyss and so on, because I don't like to include like sequel animes, right, or like ongoing animes. I never include like One Piece or right in this top 10. So Bleach again, then having basically like 10 years of a head start, right? Feels really unfair. That's why I say it's the best sequel, right? So I'm cheating a bit. It's my list. This is honorary number one, right? And that could also then include other similar animes.
俺の気持ちだ。
Yuukaku-hen. Because holy shit, do I love this anime too, right? This is the best rom-com ever, right? This is like a masterpiece. Shirogane finally gets good hard. This is an amazing scene. But just like Bleach, I think it has too many episodes, right? I think to be fairly called a top this year. It has 2 seasons. OVAs is alright. It has a lot of. It has too much time built up, right, for this scene alone. But otherwise, I would say this is obviously one of the best anime this year. Again, I'm cheating a little bit here, a little more than 10, right? Same thing, right, with My Academia. My Academia Season 6 is amazing. It's much better than Season 5. I think it's one of the best animes here, actually, right? Top 10 easily, right? The music scenes are so good, right? But also the Endower, the Derby, right? The Toya Derby thing, etc. I won't spoil too much, but it's amazing. It's really amazing. Season 5 is the weakest season, right? So, but it comes back to that Bleach argument, okay? Season 5 of Bleach and whatever, Academia and all stuff, yeah, it's so many seasons before that you doesn't feel fair to compare that. But I put it as an honorary, like top 10 anime, right? In an honorary sense. Because again, Season 5 was pretty bad, but it built up this season, right? So this is probably the best example of like, well, previous season was bleh, but this is really good. Now everything is coming together, right? So it feels like there's a very Then of course we have Mob as well, right? Mob season 3, also amazing, right? And I was thinking, I'll say it briefly, I was thinking of doing maybe like a top 10 best scenes, right? That's really, yeah, where this would really shine, right? The last everyone fighting Mob in the end, right? Best friend, Reagan, brother, Ritsu, the gym guys, everything. Really amazing. Whoever else you think. And I really love Mob, you know, I was crying the baby, right? With both the Dimple scene and of course the Reagan scene, right? But I was thinking, I talked about a lot of friends about Mob Season 3, and honestly, gave me some hate comments there. But I don't know if I actually would put Mob in my top 10, even including it not being a season, like ignoring the whole like Bleach and so on, yeah, ignoring the Season 3, because Season 3 definitely weakens it right again for top 10 this year. But like everyone I talked to didn't actually like this episode, the season. I mean, they loved the Reagan bit, right? They loved the bit. But the thing is that, and I have to agree with that, the I thought was like, but every episode in between wasn't that interesting. There was a lot of fillery, right? Not fillery. My point is that, again, the highlights, right? The highlights of Mob Season 3 are amazing. The truly are amazing. But that is like 4 or 5 episodes out of like 12 episodes, right? The other episodes are, I still think they're good, okay? I probably like them more than my friends did, right? But I thought several friends, and everyone was just like, they didn't like, you know, all the episodes except the 2 highlight episodes. And I think it actually is a very fair statement that Mob, well, I love Mob too, I really love Mob, right? But I think it's very true that Mob has those like amazing moments, right? Again, top 10 best scene feel to it, right? But as a whole anime for one season, built up onto a season, it isn't really like that consistent, right? Where I look at maybe, for example, Spike's Family, then where I feel like every episode is like almost equally as good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like yeah, that is true. But he's higher though, right? But I don't think Spike's Family has such a height as Mob has with Reagan, right? Reagan is like arguably the best scene this year, right? So it has a higher scene, but it also has those scenes which like, oh, they go and like camping with aliens, which is fun. The episode is hilarious, but it's just like, oh, it's just a fun episode. But it's like that episode is just kind of, you know, well, it's there, right? You know, so it is a very hard anime to actually judge, I feel. Again, I would say the Reagan scene is like arguably the best scene this year, right? Like straight up. If you do a top 10 best scene, it's like number 1, number 2, whatever, right? It's like the top best scene, yeah, like easily. But as an anime, yeah. So what do you guys think? Okay, I have to also mention Demon Slayer, of course, but I don't wanna. Demon Slayer is very risky for copy stuff, so I'm not gonna yeah, put Demon Slayer. But obviously, Demon Slayer was also very good. Arguably the best animated with freaking the man with the waifus. Yeah, oh, incredibly fights, right? Incredible fights. But yeah, I don't want to show them because obviously, yeah. So, but Demon Slayer. Easily, probably the best fights, right? Yeah, easy, crazy good fights. But same thing there, right? You know, season 3 has a movie, blah blah blah. You know, I feel, you know, it has build up. So the same argument like Kaguya-sama and Bleach and so on, right? That it's, you know, it's several seasons, right? So on. So I'm gonna put it on. But honestly, from a pure mesh standpoint, probably arguably the best thing, right?
It's all out of control. Emma, what did you do to her? You really need to ask.
I mean, Chainsaw Man, whatever. The guy, the Dennis guy, Makima, of course. You probably figured it out just because we isn't in the list otherwise with my Chainsaw Man, right? But yeah, I think it is the best anime this year, and we have to argue it, right? Because used to whatever and so on. But the thing is that Chainsaw Man, first of all, and this is like big argument, I think, honestly, production-wise, it has 12 endings. Okay, 12 endings, and that might sound silly. That does count, you know. It does count, like opening, ending, and so on, right? Like I said, Spike's Family, I would argue as the best opening, right? Stuff like that definitely improves the quality of the anime, right? And the job of the anime. And having 12 different endings with 12 different songs and actually animating that. You look at my own channel, but I mean, that's a great enjoyment, right? It's a great entertaining value that you have a new ending every episode, right? There's a new animation, new scenes, new hints. Oh, here's the Ouroboros ending, here's some Marigo's ending, right? That gives you an extra feel to it, yeah. So that alone puts it, very high up, right? From a quality standpoint, because this is a top 10, right? And like I said earlier, I would probably put Marin-chan as number 1 if it was my personal top 10, trying to be, not be biased and not be objective, right? Then I would be like, Marin-chan, Marin-chan! Then I would be like that, right? But from an objective standpoint, trying to be as unbiased as I can, right? Storyline, animation, characters, everything, right? Again, Chainsaw Man easily then wins, of course, like production standpoint, right? How that is just very high value. Demon Slayer, as I mentioned, maybe has the best fight, but again, Demon Slayer also has season 3, so we ignoring those honorary mentions, right? We're talking about the new animes, right? But basically, so Chainsaw Man easily wins that, right? I would say, and then it has, of course, a really interesting story, right? It has one of the best scenes. If you haven't seen that, I've seen people see the anime basically because it's so popular. But of course, the Makima scene, right? Which is like kids, everyone, so on. Yeah, those scenes. It has one of the best top scenes, right? Similar to Mob Psycho, it has one of the greatest like hype and height scenes, right? It has very interesting storytelling. It has an interesting world building, right? So it has the shock value. It has the comedy. I love the comedy in Chainsaw Man. I love Kobani. Kobani's my favorite character, actually. I love Kobani. I love Power. So right? The comedy for me is like 10 out of 10 as well. I will say that Isekai Ojisan, of course, is funnier. Like Spike's Family are also funny, probably, and BOCCHI and so on. Right? It's more comedy, of course, centric, right? But the comedy moments in Chainsaw Man, I think, is really, really good. So it's like the best action anime, I would say, easily, right? Because even though I like Demon Slayer. I'm also Demon Slayer. I like Demon Slayer. But I think that Demon Slayer's weakness is that it just fights, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care about the character. I mean, I do love Daga's ass, don't get me wrong. Daga's butt is amazing. But the thing is that Demon Slayer, which I don't like Demon Slayer, is that, yes, every demon has like a sad backstory after they die, right? If I had Daki's ass story before she died, I might have cared more. But it's like always like, oh, here the good guys are fighting the bad guys, and then the bad guys dies. Here's the sad backstory. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I compared it even, it's the one of Demon Slayer, right, to the spider guy, compared to Dofy in One Piece, right? Because they have the same power, basically, right? With the string power. And I was just like, Doflamingo in One Piece, he has like a, I don't know, 20 episode backstory, okay? That's One Piece, it has like at least 10 episode backstory. Roshananten Law is so long, but it's not the best backstory episode. But, Doflamingo, good example, he has a really long backstory, so you really care about him as a character. You might not like him, but you understand why he's evil and his backstory with his father and brother. So you understand his motivation, why he's doing stuff. So you can really like get into why he's evil, what he did to Law and so on, but also why he's doing stuff, right? So you can really understand the character, you can understand the hate and so on. In Demon Slayer, it's kind of like, oh, they go into a forest, then they fight these spider guys, right? And then they die, and then we understand the backstory. So I'm not caring for a second, right, about the bad guys, right? I don't care. It's just a beautiful fight, right? I care about the good guys, but I don't care about the bad guys. For example, that's all with Demon Slayer. So I think the Chainsaw Man, when I'm watching it, I kind of like care more about the bad guys, even though they also have much backstory. But I care more about the Katana Man than I did about anyone in like in Demon Slayer, I guess. Immediately, I don't know, but I think that the Chainsaw Man has a very interesting way they portray the character and the devils and the fear and so aspect of it. So the bad guys are more interesting, Yeah, I like the whole phobia. I like the whole psychology, the religious art of it, right? So even if I don't understand why this guy's evil or whatever, he's a bad demon guy, but I understand kind of his concept. He's an abstract concept of this thing. Oh, he's the demon of, let's say, heights then, right? At the top of my video. He's the demon of heights. Okay, I understand the fear and how he's powered up, and so the demons are more interesting, right? The cooler to fight and so on. So that helps a lot too. And then it has the craziest storyline, the craziest characters, right? So Chainsaw Man, I think, is an amazing anime, right? It's really well done. But I think, and also, again, easily for me then, top 10 production, right? Maybe, honestly, I did enjoy Spy Family more this anime. But I would say the quality of this anime is higher, right? For example, with the 12 endings. Or like my channel. But also Spike's Family is also really high quality, right? So like that's also why it's number and it's number 2, right? So I mean, you know what I mean? So but I think it's fair. Like Like, I'm trying to be as unbiased, right? Otherwise, my sound is weird. And anyway, guys, that is the video. Please subscribe to the episode. It could take a lot of time to do the video, right? So I'll share or whatever. But what do you guys think? What's your top 10? Do you agree with my top 10 or whatever? And, you know, check out my Chainsaw Man video yesterday, right? Talking about the top 10 fears. The actual fears, the demons, based on, like, you know, real data, right? Like real life data. So, anyway, so you guys have a great day and a happy New Year's.